So now that Apple has confirmed their September 7th event, Far Out is what they're calling it, let's talk about what to expect, but not just from the iPhone perspective, because obviously we should be getting the iPhone 14 lineup of devices, which I'll link some videos down below if you guys want to get some information on those. But what I want to talk about is what Apple's going to do with the new Apple Watch Series 8. And we might be in for a treat because that one more thing that Apple gives us at the end of the presentation could be a new Pro version of the Apple Watch, which is something that we've never had before. So, without further ado, let's talk about what this Apple Watch Series 8 and 8 Pro are going to be all about. Let's talk about it. So first off, let's talk about the Apple Watch Series 8. Obviously last year, Apple switched from the 40 and 44mm variants to now a 41 and 45mm variant, and that happened with the Series 7. So what Apple's going to do with the Series 8 is keep the exact same form factor. So we're still going to have the same 41 and 45mm. There is a rumor about a new Apple Watch that's going to be 1.99 inches in diagonal, which means it should be about a 47 or 48mm Apple Watch, but that's probably going to be for the Pro lineup, which we'll touch on in a second, so keep watching. But for this new Apple Watch, I'm going to be honest guys, it's not going to really wow us too much, right? From a what's new perspective, we're probably going to get one new colorway, whether that's going to be the new purple to match what the iPhones are going to do with that iPhone lineup or something completely different. But Apple usually throws in one unique colorway into a new Apple Watch series, you know, whatever they're going to call it. So the Series 8 should have some sort of new color if that's what you're into. And then the one real difference is that it's going to have, yes, it's going to have the new S8 chip, but it's going to be the same exact chip as the S7 and the S6. So from a capability and performance standpoint, expect the same thing that we got with the Series 6 and the Series 7. And the only new addition from a hardware perspective that we're going to get is going to be a temperature sensor on the Apple Watch Series 8, which is kind of funny because, I don't know, I thought Apple Watches always had that. But that's what we're going to get. We're going to get a new temperature sensor, and Apple is stating that it's not going to be as accurate as, let's say, a thermometer in your mouth or a thermometer on your forehead, but it should be precise enough to let you know if you have a fever or if you should at least, check your temperature with a more, precise form of measurement like a thermometer or a head thermometer. But that is going to be the new addition in terms of a hardware perspective. But that has me questioning because what if you live, let's say in the South, if you're like in Texas or Florida or somewhere where it's very hot, Southern California, and you're in the middle of like a hot summer day and you go on a run, like your body temperature is going to increase regardless, at least your surface body temperature on your skin. So if that's the case, like maybe people are going to start getting fever alerts left and right, when they're going just on a normal jog in the middle of a hot summer day. Who knows? I'm curious to know what Apple or how Apple's going to calibrate the heat sensor in order to make sure we get some decently accurate measurements with that Apple Watch Series 8, because if it's not an accurate or trustworthy form of reading your body temperature, or if you need to be in a perfect situation where it's like 72 degrees indoors for you to be able to get a real precise measurement, it might not even be worth it from a hardware perspective. The only thing that the new S8 chip is going to be bringing on the Series 8 of Apple Watches is going to be the ability to have an even more precise measurement of sleep tracking to allow us to find out things in terms of like sleep apnea, which is going to be great to have. And little by little, the Apple Watch is becoming kind of like a medical device on your wrist, which I'm all here for, right? The more I can learn about my body, the more in tune I am and the more proactive I can be about my body and its health, the better we're going to end up in the long run. So the more data I can get from the Apple Watch, the better in my opinion. So now the age-old question is, should you upgrade to the Series 8 Apple Watch? In my opinion, unless you are in dire need of the temperature sensor or like you're just in the market for a new Apple Watch and you never owned one, then let's avoid the Series 8 for right now, because if you're on the Series 7, I really don't see a reason to upgrade. Even on the Series 6, I see no reason. For me personally, I'm on the 44mm Series 5 watch right now, and the only three things that I use this watch for are fitness tracking, for a viewfinder on my iPhone, so whenever I'm recording, I could see exactly where I am, especially like in the center or if I'm out of frame or things like that. And then lastly, like I literally just use it to glance at notifications or glance at the temperature outside to make sure I know what I'm wearing in the morning. But outside of that, for me, the Series 5, until it literally dies out, I probably won't be upgrading. But you know who you'll be if you are looking to upgrade to the Series 8. If you just want to get that heat sensor on the Apple Watch, then by all means go for it. But if not, the SE will still be there. I would not recommend the Series 3 anymore, but between the SE and the 5, 6, 7 that you can probably find refurbished or used, those might be a better purchase for your money. But now let's talk about this Apple Watch Series 8 Pro or Large Edition or Rugged Edition that Apple seems to be rumoring to be coming out with alongside the Series 8 edition. So the main difference between the 8 and the 8 Pro is going to come down to design and size. So this one is going to have a 47 to 48mm watch face, which is going to make the Apple Watch even bigger obviously than the 45mm one on the Series 8. or the Series 7, but with that, it's going to be able to show us a little bit more of some fitness metrics on the screen, because this is going to be a pro kind of fitness tracker focused watch, or an athletic tracker focused watch, and that's what it's going to be used for. So that extra screen real estate will allow for some more fitness metrics, and then also the larger size will allow for a much larger battery. And also, this is going to be made out of a new formulated version of titanium, which is more rugged and a lot stronger, because again, it's for somebody that's going to be out in the wild, on long runs, on long hikes. So somebody that's going to like roughhouse this actual Apple Watch. So having it as sturdy as possible is going to be key in order to be able to sell this Apple Watch and sell it at a higher price point than usual, which is going to be around $800 to $900 at a starting price. In terms of the actual design itself, so the actual screen will be bigger. It's going to be 47 or 48 millimeters, but the design around it, there are conflicting reports that maybe Apple's going to stick to the same design language that they've known and we've seen since the Series 0, the OG one, or if they're going to adopt that iPhone 12 and iPhone 13 design language and have it be a little bit more squared off. But I guess we'll find that one out on September 7th. I have always liked this design language that Apple's given us with the Apple Watches, but it's always nice to have something new, something different, and at least the optionality to go with something different. But the absolute biggest rumor that's been circulating about this new Apple Watch, especially now with the far out events kind of showing us the stars and space and the iPhone being kind of like a satellite, or the Apple logo being a satellite, it's going to be satellite connectivity. Apple was rumored to bring satellite connectivity to the iPhones, I think last year with the 13s, but that ended up not happening. Why, we don't know, but that satellite connectivity would allow us to communicate via satellite instead of via, regular data connectivity in cell towers. It was going to be purely used for more of an SOS situation, but Apple is rumored to bring that to the 8 Pro. So picture a situation where you are hiking for a few hours out in the wilderness by yourself. Being able to be connected via satellite on the Apple Watch and not just cellular will allow you to send out a distress signal, an SOS call, or anything pretty much from anywhere on the planet, which at the end of the day could save your life if you are in a situation like that. This functionality actually reminded me of a watch that came out years ago, and I believe it's still out, by a company called Breitling. They're a much higher end, quality of watch. I think they started like $10,000, but that was the same idea with this watch. It was called the Emergency. It was built very rugged, very heavy, very sturdy. It wasn't a smartwatch whatsoever. It was a regular watch from, again, back 10, maybe even 20 years ago now at this point. But it had this large kind of rocker on the bottom that you would twist off. And once you pull that all the way off, it would ping a signal to a satellite, then send an SOS distress call so emergency services could come pick you up regardless of where you are. So this watch, again, the barrier to entry was a lot harder because it was a $10,000 to $20,000 watch. And then that service alone, I think, was like a $50,000 service, depending on what type of situation you were in. Like if you need to get a helicopter out there, or if you just need an ambulance and you were around the corner, it all really depended on what situation you were in. But again, it is that same idea of an SOS call in a distress situation, which bringing that to the Apple Watch I think is a no-brainer if they're capable of doing that, and as long as it doesn't break the bank if you do turn on that functionality, whether it is on purpose or by accident. And then the final thing to note about this 8 Pro is that because it's going to be a 47 or 48 millimeter Apple Watch, the Apple Watch bands might not fit flush and might not fit aesthetically perfectly to the ones that you had before. One of the things that I've always given Apple's kudos for is that if you did buy that Series 0 Apple Watch, I believe it was back in 2015 or 2013, and you bought yourself some like $300, $400, $500 like leather bands or the titanium band, those bands still worked with all the way up to the Apple Watch Series 7, and it's still going to work with the Series 8. But they're saying that with the 8 Pros, because it's such a larger form factor, or at least a little bit larger, it's not going to sit flush. It'll still technically work, but it won't sit flush with those bands that you've purchased in the past. Now, we could be wrong, but this also could be a situation when Apple released the 2021 iPad Pro and they said that the Magic Keyboard wouldn't work, but in reality it did, and it's fit more than flush enough for it to work. So let's see what Apple does, and we'll see it in action when we do get into the studio, but that's all we have. So we have the Apple Watch Series 8 in the 41 and 45 millimeter variants, and we should be getting an 8 Pro in that 47 to 48 millimeter variant with probably a different design language overall than the rest of the lineup. And then in terms of the lineup of what Apple's going to be offering, we should still have a new version of the SE that comes out, and then we'll have the Series 8 and then the Series 8 Pro, and I think that's it. They might keep around the Series 7 for a while, but I don't see why they would, because it would cannibalize sales of the Series 8 in general. But let's see what Apple keeps in the lineup. But leave some comments down below what you guys think. What Apple Watch do you have? Do you own one? Are you planning on upgrading? If you had to pick between a regular Series 8 and a Series 8 Pro, would you go with the 8 Pro over the 8? Let me know in the comments down below, because I'm always very curious. But if you made it to the end, leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so I know you made it to the end. And that's going to do it. I'm very excited for the Apple event. We should be 1 week away after this video releases. But until next time, everybody, I'm Fernando, and I'm out of here. Peace.